Hey YouTube, we are back again this week for another video portion of the Daily Dose Sports Podcast. Hopefully you are enjoying these every week, and I hope everyone out there is doing well and staying healthy. This week on the Daily Dose YouTube video, we are actually going to be looking at some positives that we are seeing through all of this craziness. There are some things that could be coming in sports that could be really, really fun. Actually, some positive, good things that could be happening. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the positives, and let's jump into that right now. So we've all been living in this world of fear and sadness and negativity and anxiety and boredom and weirdness and no sports whatsoever. But here's the thing. That doesn't mean there aren't some positives to this entire situation. There are, especially when it comes to sports. But trust me on this, we have to dig a little bit to find some of these positives, but they are there. Finding positives, it truly is about perspective. Now, as a former basketball coach, I was always looking for positives, and sometimes you had a team that maybe you didn't have much to feel positive about. You had to dig for them. You had to look for them. Or maybe you're in a game and you're trying to stay positive. You can't just say, well, we're down 7 with 10 seconds left. I guess it's over. You can't look at things that way. You say, okay, if we get a steal and we hit a 3, maybe we foul and they miss a free throw and we hit another 3 and all of a sudden we're back there, and maybe it doesn't happen, whatever. But you're always looking for a chance. You're always trying to find a way to look at that glass as being half full. We have a chance at this. We're going to be better eventually. And sometimes it does help us in our everyday life just to think about some of the good things that are coming or have taken place in this bad situation. With all that is going on in the world today, and all that is going on here in the USA in particular, we kind of need something to feel good about, don't we? Every day you wake up, you get on either social media or you turn on the news, you see a lot of negativity. We need something to feel good about. We're going to give you some positives that are coming out of this entire situation, plus some positives that are coming in sports. But before we get to those positives, I have to get a few things on the table. I do. There are a few phrases that when this is all done, I never, ever want to hear again for the rest of my life. If I have to hear any of these phrases, if I have to hear the phrase, in these uncertain times, in these unparalleled times, in these unprecedented times, I hate all of those phrases so much, especially like when it's like a commercial for like Subaru or something. In these unprecedented times, we want you to know that we here at Subaru are here for you. And by the way, don't be late on your payment, because we'll still ding you with a late charge, even in these uncertain times. We are certain that the check had better hit our collections department by the 15th, or your credit report is going to have an unparalleled drop. I am so sick of the unprecedented times and the unparalleled times and the uncertain times. I cannot stand it. If you're out there and you write commercials, please stop putting that in your script. Man, I never thought the day would come that I missed precedented times. I had no idea that was a thing. And here we are. We are now in a time where I'm like, man, do I miss precedented times. Those were the good old days. I also do not want to hear the phrase, we're all in this together. Especially when it comes from like these giant corporations, or especially even worse, from like politicians. Nothing about what you do is anything like what we do. The politicians are telling us how we're all in this together. Well, let's see if we are. You're in your home, like that's a palace, and you're getting check after check after check for doing literally nothing. We're actually having to go out and work and deal with the general public and be face to face with people. Oh yeah, we're twinsies here, aren't we? And then we have these big corporations. We have like Walmart or like a commercial airlines company or something. Hey, we're all in this together. Yeah, I'm not sure we are. I'm not sure we're in this together at all. The only thing is you still want my money. But here's the thing. I remember the last time I flew to Las Vegas and my bag was 51 pounds. We weren't in it together then, were we, United? No, I was on my own there. You made me shuffle my luggage around and take some of the stuff out of my bag and put it in my kid's bag. You dinged me with like $51 for a luggage fee or whatever. Oh, now you want to be friends? Get out of here. I don't want to hear from you anymore. No more of this stuff. I don't want to hear unprecedented times. I don't want to hear about we're in this together. It's all nonsense and I can't stand it. Okay, I had to get that out of my system. Sorry, had to be a little bit negative for a second. Now, we're going to get to the positive stuff. And I realize we are going through this stuff and we have seen a ton of negatives. We've seen loss of life. We've had stress, anxiety. A number of people are suffering with depression. Turn on the news, that is literally all you're going to hear about. Even when there is good news, they don't share the good news. It's only the bad news all the time. And then at the very end of the broadcast, they say something like, oh, and by the way, a new panda bear was born in the zoo today. Oh, thanks, Ken. That was great. Thanks. After giving us 28 minutes of sheer horror, good looking out at the very, very end. But like I said, there are actually positives to all the stuff we've been going through. And I'm not talking about sports, not yet. We're going to get to sports in a minute. But there are positives if you look for them. And you know what? I'm not trying to force anything. I'm not going to try to make something out of nothing. I'm not going to say something like, well, I mean, at least Minneapolis already got most of their Christmas shopping done. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. I'm not talking about making up false positives just to make ourselves feel better. I want true positives, and I've got a few before we get to sports. For one, I mean, hopefully during this time that we haven't been able to go out, hopefully maybe we've all been working out a little bit more. Going for a walk, going for a run, getting some fresh air. Maybe, I don't know, you're doing yoga to dealing with stress, or you're doing meditation. Maybe you're lifting weights in the garage or whatever. A lot of people are spending this downtime by working out and by being more aware of our physical health. There's no doubt that's a positive. That's a good thing. And not just working out. Maybe you're eating better. The thing is now, it's not as easy to just run up and get whatever fast food you want. You go to the grocery store, you kind of get what you can get. And it's super important when we're trying to boost our immune system that we are eating healthier, that we are paying a little more attention to the foods that we're taking in. So eating better, trying to boost that immune system, maybe that's a positive that comes out of all this. On those same lines, just like we talked about, what are you taking into your head? What are you listening to? If this causes us to maybe have a little bit of levity when we watch or listen to the news, or when we look at social media, maybe there's some things that we kind of weed out and say, you know, I'm not going to watch that. That stuff feels like poison in my head. I don't think that we as people were meant to finish, say, our workday, log on to social media, and hear the problems of 4,000 people. We're kind of meant to hear the problems of like the 2 or 3, 4, 5 people that live in our own house. That's it. Taking on the problems of the world, that's a lot for us to handle. Maybe we start to push some of that nonsense aside. Maybe we trim some of that fat, and that would be a good thing. That would be a positive. Now, maybe we're getting to spend more time with our family, and if so, that's a good thing. You know, it's funny because I think back to like New Year's Eve, and we make those like 12:30 drunken resolutions. You know, I really need to eat better and work out and spend more time with my family this year. And then we end up, falling asleep in our own sick. Well, I mean, look at how long we're keeping those resolutions this year. And I seriously do wonder if we could be raising a generation of maybe kids that is going to be more of a stay-at-home kind of group after all this. They're more comfortable. They feel more safe. I could easily see that happening. But we are spending more time with our families. We are really, really careful about who we spend our time with, and that might be a really positive thing, even if at times we get sick of each other and it doesn't always feel like a positive thing. There's no doubt it's a positive situation. We are hopefully during this time spending less money. I mean, there's only so many places you can go. There's only so much money you can spend right now, despite, what Subaru and United are telling us in those unprecedented times. But we haven't been going out and spending $11 on each martini. We haven't been able to go out and just order fast food all the time. Hopefully, maybe we've been saving a little bit of money. We are definitely more aware of just being clean right now. I think that's positive. We have washed 5 layers of flesh off of our own hands every single day for the past 2 months. And have you ever seen cleaner handles on grocery carts? I mean, I went to Kroger the other day. The handle was so shiny it nearly blinded me. And then I've got like the wipe thing, like, should I wipe this? I'm like taking paint off at this point. We are scrubbing these handles on the cars. We're wiping down our cars. We're washing our hands constantly. Now, I don't know if all that is truly healthy. Maybe we need to take in some germs. So I don't know if that's all a healthy thing, but maybe just being a little bit more clean and maybe just making sure we wash our hands. That might be a good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. Just being a little bit more healthy in that regard. And again, giving our immune system a better chance at fighting things off. That might be a good thing. You know, you might never think of this, but I saw a video that was actually pretty positive. I saw a video of priests at like church or whatever using squirt guns to baptize kids or like sprinkle their holy water or whatever. You're telling me that's not a great thing? That's definitely a positive. Hey, the less priests are touching kids, the better. There's no doubt about that. Many of us are working more efficiently. Many of us aren't creating the pollution that we would usually create by driving to the office or whatever. Many of us are spending more efficiently, eating healthier, working out more. There are positives to this entire situation. Appreciating what is actually important is the biggest thing that stands out to me in all this. We don't need all the stuff. We don't need all the extra stuff. We need the people in our lives. We need food and water and our health, and all the other stuff. It's just on the fringe. It's just stuff that, I don't know, we put in storage. I realize not everyone has these things, but if you do, you have everything you need, and that is a positive. But let's move over to the world of sports, because this is a sports show, right? I know a number of things have been canceled, and we're still waiting to get back to normal. But there are some positives in sports if you look. We have seen television ratings shoot up during this time. The NFL draft, the Michael Jordan documentary, the Tiger versus Phil golf match. They all had great ratings, and that's good because it lets people know even if you have to forfeit the fans in the stands, these leagues can still make money. They still can come back. That's a good thing. Some money is always better than no money. I know we might have to remind the NBA and maybe Major League Baseball of that, but that is a good thing that ratings have been so high. For years, we have also been saying that Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League, and the NBA, they should probably scale back how many games they play, right? I mean, the seasons are way too long. I would much rather see 50, maybe 60 games in the NBA and the NHL. And then I would love to see Major League Baseball drop their schedule down to 90 to 120 games. That would be way, way, way better than the 5 million that they play now. I would rather have more focus on the postseason and more excitement about these teams getting to the postseason in a little bit of a shorter marathon than this giant marathon they play every year. The problem was we knew these sports leagues are never going to voluntarily just give those games up. Well, what if they were forced to? Like now. We might be at that point right now, and we might see these leagues miss a season entirely. So maybe they would be more likely to scale those games back, and if they do, that would be a good thing. We could also see a massive change to these seasons if they do come back. Talked about it earlier on the show. The NHL is talking about jumping straight into the playoffs. Tell me that wouldn't be exciting? The NBA is discussing playing games in 2 locations. Disney World for the East, Las Vegas for the West. And while that might all seem weird, there would be some really fun aspects to this stuff. I mean, for one, if these games are being played in just say 1 or 2 venues, and you're all in the same place, you're going to have like a March Madness feel to these games when we see players from other teams come and watch other games. I want to see their reactions. I want to see maybe who they're cheering for or what they're seeing or what their reactions are. Plus, I know that when we hear they could be playing in empty arenas with limited or no fans, it sounds weird and it kind of feels a little bit creepy to us. But there would be positives to that. I mean, you could hear everything being said by the players, by the coaches, by maybe even the other players that are watching in the stands. Don't get me wrong, we won't want it forever. But it would be really fun for a while to be able to hear the trash talk, to be able to hear maybe the calls the players are making, the adjustments, some of the coaching. That would be really, really fun. And if they come back, the NHL or the NBA, maybe even Major League Baseball, they could be in this short stretch and then right into the playoffs. Now, because of some close playoff races, maybe they don't just do 8 out of the East and 8 out of the West. Maybe they change things up. Maybe they just put in the top 16 teams regardless of conference. And if they did, you'd have some really interesting matchups. I mean, first round, Milwaukee versus Orlando, the Lakers versus the Nets, the Raptors against the Grizzlies, the Clippers and the Mavericks would match up. That would be really, really fun. The Celtics and the 76ers would be a first round matchup. The Nuggets against the Pacers, the Jazz and the Rockets, and the Miami Heat against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That would be really, really fun. Think about this. If they did this year, maybe they take the playoffs and they just say, we're just going to take the top 16 teams regardless of conference. You could have the Los Angeles Clippers against the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA Finals. And here's the thing, without a lot of warm-up time, teams aren't in the groove that maybe they would have been. You could have a few top teams go out early. Who knows how they come back? Who knows how their game would look? We could have major, major upsets. You're telling me that wouldn't be a fun NBA or NHL playoffs? I would love it. Now, I talked about baseball possibly cutting down their schedule, which would be great, because I actually love playoff baseball when it matters. I actually watch it. I would love to watch the baseball season actually matter because there were way less games. Instead of this huge, forever marathon of games that we're all so sick of, I would love to watch baseball where we could hear what the batters are saying to the umpires, especially on like controversial calls or like a missed strike ball situation. I know they would ban and cut out a lot of it, but that would be a lot of fun. Like they'd beep some of it, but if you could hear just some of it, wouldn't that be a lot of fun? And I would love to watch baseball where we could hear if teams are trying to bang maybe on trash can lids when a certain pitch is coming. Oh, and then throw in, they say, Major League Baseball banning spitting? Wouldn't baseball be way better with all these changes? I think it would. And what if we move over to, say, college football? I mean, we could see some changes in college football this upcoming season that would actually be way, way better. I mean, there is a chance, based on what we're hearing from like the governor and some of the mayors out in California, there's a chance we could just have the Pac-12 completely eliminated in football. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. That wouldn't be good. Would it? It wouldn't be good, right? Okay, joking aside, could this maybe end up moving college football forward to a true power conference situation? And while I don't want to lose the small teams, I don't want to lose the small conferences, I don't want to lose Rutgers or Vanderbilt or Kansas or the entire Pac-12. Well, sort of. But we could see this bring about major changes in college football where we just have stripped down Power 5 conferences with only the best teams in it. And the best of the rest, they go play in maybe a lower level. But the big 5, they are the big dogs, and it almost feels like minor league to the NFL. This craziness could actually get that ball rolling. It could happen very soon. But of all the positives that I am looking forward to the most, it is the appreciation for sports when they do finally come back. You know, last week, NASCAR had a number of events going, and they had a really good week. They say 12 million viewers tuned in last Sunday for the Charlotte 600 with no fans in the stands. Now, 3.5 million of those viewers were brand new. They had never watched NASCAR before. They weren't NASCAR fans. They weren't NASCAR people. But there was nothing else to watch, and they wanted to see something. Whatever comes back, we are going to be so excited to watch something. We are not going to care 1 ounce what it is. Much like in our lives, you go to the store, like say 6 months ago, and like you see a beef brisket sitting there, you might say, no, you know, I want some steak. I want some ribeyes. I'm not going to get that. Now you grab the brisket. I'm going to take whatever I can get. I don't know what all I can get. I'm just going to take what I can get. No big deal. I'll figure out a good way to make some brisket. So you grab it. Well, last fall, we would see maybe the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing Cincinnati on a Thursday night. And we go, you know what? I'll wait for something better. Kansas City plays Baltimore on Sunday. That would be great. I'm going to wait for that. I'm not going to watch that Thursday night game. Oh, right now, I would watch like Detroit versus the Jets, and I would be thrilled to watch it. I'd be so excited. Can you believe we get Lions versus Jets tonight? It's going to be so exciting. That's kind of where we're at. This loss of sports has been tough. I feel for the athletes. I feel for the coaches. Everyone who has lost this time. I feel for the college athletes. I feel especially for the high school athletes. If you're a high school athlete out there, I feel the worst for you because you lost this time that you can't get back. And as fans, we have been missing our sports. But can you imagine next spring when we actually get March Madness, playing real live games, hopefully with fans in the stands? There is going to be an appreciation that maybe we haven't had for sports in quite a while because we have so much. We kind of took that stuff for granted. It is going to be so exciting when sports actually come back. Okay, YouTube, be sure to go over and check out the rest of the podcast. I will leave a link down in the comments on YouTube so that you can find it very easily. Hey, this week on the show, we talk some breaking news. We actually have a Daly Dose Top 5 coming about some future sports documentaries that could be coming very soon. So make sure you go out, you check out the entire podcast, and thank you all for watching. Hey, stay healthy, stay positive. Like we talked about today, in spite of all the bad things happening, there are a lot of reasons to feel very positive. Hey, I'll see you all next week.